Cześć, witajcie w kolejnym odcinku wideopodcastu Epole po sezonie. Dzisiaj jest taki specjalny odcinek, ponieważ jest z nami wyjątkowy gość po raz pierwszy na kanale Epole. Będziemy nagrywać rozmowę po angielsku. Moim dzisiejszym gościem jest Mauricio Andriao. Hello, Mauricio.
Hello, hi.
Mauricio trochę nam opowie o tym, jak wygląda rolnictwo w różnych częściach świata. Opowie nam również o tym, dlaczego fizjologia roślin jako dziedzina, jako nauka jest tak ważna, żeby też lepiej radzić sobie ze zmianami klimatycznymi, z różnymi zmianami, które powodują też, że rośliny nie mają perfekcyjnych warunków do rozwoju. Mam tutaj na myśli suszę, mam tutaj na myśli przymrozki, czy inne czynniki, które ograniczają tak gdyby z jednej strony potencjał roślin, a z drugiej strony również ich wegetację. Mauricio przez wiele lat zajmował się tym tematem, a dzisiaj jest szefem części marketingowej w Corteva Biologicals w Europie, więc też ma szerokie doświadczenie pokazujące, jak ten aspekt wygląda na świecie, w Europie, no i pogadamy też o tym, jak to może wyglądać w Polsce. To jest ostatni odcinek 4. sezonu wideopodcastu Epole po sezonie, więc zachęcam was do tego, żeby oglądać i słuchać uważnie. Pytajcie w sekcji komentarzy jak zawsze, bo to jest ta wartość, na której mi szczególnie też zależy, żebyście dociekali, drążyli pewne tematy. No i co, jeżeli ten materiał wam się spodoba, to oczywiście dajcie lajka. Z podcastami wrócimy na jesień, a to będzie już rocznica, bo 5. sezon wideopodcastów się rozpocznie. Pewne pomysły już mam, żeby ten 5. sezon fajnie uczyć. So Mauricio, I'm very happy that you are to the podcast studio today, and we can say about the biostimulants, biologicals, and plant physiology. You know that you are a very important person, yeah, in Corteva Biologicals in Europe, but you have a very wide experience about the biological. And maybe we can start about your perspective, because you are originally from Brazil, yeah, and in the several years you move in on the South Africa, and now you live in Spain. So how the farming you can comparing in this part of world? What is the challenges and the difficulties when you observe agriculture?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much, Pavel, for the invitation to be here at the Epole podcast. I'm sorry that I don't speak any Polish, so I will try here in the English and we can translate later on. But yes, I'm from Brazil. I've been working in Brazil many years now on the biological business. And then I had the opportunity to live in South Africa and manage the Southern Africa operations. So learning a different part of the world. And then in Europe now in the last 5 years living in Spain. So if I had to summarize challenges and opportunities, right? I think the challenges are similar anywhere in the world. You know, farmers, they want to produce more, produce better, you know, and by the end have a positive return on investment, right? To maintain, to have a sustainable business, to respect the environment, and to stay long in their business, right? Up running the business. So the challenges are the same. We need to maintain the business going. And that goes beyond the plants, right? We can look into challenges in terms of climate change, where it usually don't rain. Now it's raining a lot. You know, where we have the raining season coming at some point. Now it's coming early or coming later, right? Where you didn't have high temperatures, now you're having high temperatures. So there's a change on the environment that the farmers have to adapt. And the opportunities are everywhere, you know, in terms looking at the farmer point of view, people are eating and they are needing more quality every time, you know. So opportunities for the farmers are everywhere.
And differences like the soil, how you can evaluate the soil management and the soil quality in Brazil, South Africa, Spain, because this is very different climate.
Yes, different climates, different soils, and different levels of technology. So let's say Brazil, you have it's the 5th biggest country in the world, so you have so different soil types. But you have, for example, soybean as the main crop where the soils are high in clay, for example, and good drainage and very flat. So you can have the implementation of machinery, very, very high implementation on this and high yield and efficiency. In South Africa, it's a completely different world, where you have the winter wheat as important crop in the southern hemisphere, but with a Mediterranean climate. So it rains in the winter, a different story. But you have the fruits, you have macadamia, you have citrus in South Africa, very strong. You have table grapes. And then you come to Spain, you have all different kinds, but mostly the fruits are the big part, and the greenhouse vegetables, right? With very high pH soils, most of the parts, high salinity, so different challenge, right? Low water.
From Spain perspective, which crops is the most popular? You said that the orchards or the type of orchard, yeah, but the typical agriculture, I don't know, cereals, wheat or oilseed rape, corn.
Yeah, in Spain is very strong in terms of fruit production, especially stone and palm fruits, and the table grapes, and of course the wine grapes as well. Then you have the region in the south where you have the greenhouses. Now Almeria as the biggest greenhouse concentrated area in the planet. You have a very strong berry productions, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries in the region a bit more closer to Portugal. And then in the central north, that's the area where you have more cereals. You have corn, you have sunflower, you have winter wheat, right? But strongly, let's say, if we have to say, Spain is very strong for fruits and the greenhouses, right?
As far as you know, I last time I visited in Valencia, so the orange trees or the orange fruits is a very beautiful view, yeah, of this street. But okay, this is the white orange, yeah. So it's not the producing, but orange trees is also this very important.
Very important as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. In Poland, we have a problem with the sandy soil, yeah, because our soil typically have a acid pH, yeah, like 5.5, sometimes less, yeah. So it is difficult and challenging for Polish farmers to improve this soil quality, because as far as you know, and we know that the neutral pH is the good for the natural growing of plants. So I'd like to associate this topic with plant physiology, because this is very, maybe not similar, but very close to understanding how or which soil of type I have, and which work I can do to improve my plants. So if you'd like to answer for two questions about the plant physiology and associated with the on this, what role does plant physiology play in modern agriculture? Because this is tough topic, because it's very details and needed a scientist's knowledge very often, and how we can transfer to the farming, to the basically language.
Yes, well, that's a great question. So first, we need to understand what is plant physiology, right? Because people think also it's a complex a concept, and really, plant physiology is to understand how plants work. How they absorb water, how they lose water, how they take the energy from the sun and transform that into energy, to carbohydrate, to protein, by the end to yield. So we're trying to understand how plants can yield better, and then how can we manage that to help the farmers to produce more and better, So relating that to modern agriculture and to soil types, understanding how the crop works. So let's say it's the same as a doctor, as long as you understand how your body works, you can adapt to the environment that you are, So, and also in the phase of your life, if you're a kid, you need to eat specific foods. If you're an older person, you need to eat different. So basically, with modern agriculture, we can manage plant physiology in different stages, from seed, from planting, to help the crops to have better roots, to have better emergencies, right? And then comes the soil. Okay, if it's more sandy soil and I need more roots, we have technology to increase the root system. If the pHs are acid, how can I make this phosphorus available to the plants there? We have solutions today coming that are going to help the phosphorus to be available. Then you go in the growth of the crop, so you can help the crops to grow faster. You can help the crops to be more greener and do more photosynthesis, generate more energy. There's solutions for that manage the physiology. Then you come for flowering. Depending on the crop, you want to have more flowers. We can help the crop understand, okay, there's a production of a hormone that will drop the flowers. Or can I help the crop naturally to retain these flowers, which will mean more fruits or more pods or and by the end more yield. So this is how plant physiology works today on the modern agriculture.
Okay, do you agree with me that starting before thinking about the plant physiology, it's important to understanding and wondering about the soil, because soil is the first type, yeah, or not?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We say that plant physiology, it's a component, super important, right? We need to look into the environment. So let's say we need to look into the weather, right? What time of the year you are, what season you are, what are the characteristics of the weather that you are. Then you look into your soil, right? What are the characteristics of your soil? That's the basics for any farmer, and farmers learn since they're born to look into the soil. And then you look into the plant, right? So there's 3 ways to farm better, right? Environment, right? The weather, the soil, and the plant. When you look into the plant, as deep as you can get inside the plant, that's better, because you understand the organism that you're working, right?
So, okay, do you agree with me that the plant physiology is the key to understanding how planting or how crop growing, but on the overall case, this is natural process. How we can improve, the growing stage and increase the yield, if we know that which of the process of the plant physiology process is disturbed.
Now that's a great point, because agriculture is holistic, right? It's complex, right? Farmers are the most knowledgeable professions in the world, because they need to understand soil, weather, climate, plant, and all the food chain out of that, right? Prices, political influence, logistic, and everything. So looking at the plant and how can we help the crop to produce more. I'll give you a few examples, right? So, for example, if you understand when that crop will absorb determined nutrients throughout the time. So, for example, you plant, and then you know when the crop is absorbing more zinc, when it's decreasing zinc while it's growing, right? The crop is growing. You understand zinc, and then you understand copper, and then you understand nitrogen, you understand phosphorus, and you understand. You don't need to wait for a soil analysis and a leaf analysis to take your decision to apply a nutrient. You can forecast that before your crop shows to you that you have a nutritional deficiency. You're already losing yield. Can we anticipate that, understanding the crop, right? Of course, soil analysis, leaf analysis are basics. You need to have it to understand where you're going, how you're going. But when you understand just the nutritional side, now we can go further, right? We can look into the plant hormones, by understanding the cycle, what's happening in the crop. You know that nature will want to put one flower and have one pod because they want to have the species for next generation. But farmers, you don't want one pod. You want as many as possible to pay your bills, right? So nature is telling you, no, I want to drop this flower And this is plant physiology. Nature is putting that on through hormones. Can we, through our technologies, increase the hormone that nature was decreasing in helping the crop to understand that we want to yield more? Right. So that's the way to work with plants. That's the beauty.
So this very details imagination, and I'm wondering about it. Okay, how we could transfer this basically rules, about the growth of plants to the knowledge which is used of practice by agriculture, because this is tough. This is a very hard topic about. Okay, this process is invisible for us.
Exactly. This is a great point, and I think that's the key part of bringing a scientific knowledge into practice, right? Because the farmers are not scientists; they don't need to be scientists. They need to be farmers, right? And we, as crop advisors, as trust advisors, we need to help the farmer to get the concept easy and apply something, right? So when you look into science, plant physiology has been studied for hundreds of years, right? Darwin studied auxin 100 years ago. So how can we take from science in nature and bring that into agriculture? And that's what we do. So basically, building the products to be applied on the right moment that the farmer needs to understand. If I apply these microorganisms that will fix this nitrogen, will bring nitrogen from the air, and from also will help the crop to get this from the soil, and that will increase yield. And the farmer knows it's trustable, it's scientifically proved, agronomically proved, and you need to apply in this stage. That's what's necessary. And that brings the results that is expected and bring return on investment. So that's our function today, is to make all this scientific complexity to be easy and applicable in the practice.
Yeah, so knowledge about the term of using is very important. Yeah, is the clue, I think.
The clue is trust on the technology, right? On what is behind the product, right? Trust on your crop advisor, right? And understand timing of application, right? And why you're applying, basically. Right? So if you get these points, you go right. You don't need to make it so complex. By the end, it's our technologies that are available. Right?
Okay. So the product which we use to improve, to the boost plant is the biologicals, the biostimulants. Yeah, we can name on this two of name. And how can we divide this product of terms of action on of using by leaf or by soil, and different dividing?
Okay, that's another great question, because we call them biologicals, a whole range of technologies, right? First thing is, like, because bio, always the farmer understand it's a live, right? It's a microorganism, and not only this, right? So let's divide first from what the products are produced. So let's say we have today a nutritional component, right? So there are macro or micronutrients, and they have technology behind that to help the crop to absorb the nutrient, to translocate and use it inside the crop. Then you have the organic matters, right? The fulvic acids, seaweeds, plant extracts. There are technologies that are available. Then you have the plant growth regulators that are new things that are coming, right? Really, plant hormones, right? It can be natural, can be synthetic. Then you have the
like auxin, cytokinin, and testosterone.
And you can have natural components, or you can have mimetic, similar to what happens in nature. You can have the chemical compound. And then you have the microorganisms, right? Really, the bacteria, the fungus that you really apply. And there's a new concept coming now, is what are the extracts that are coming from the microorganisms, right? So metabolites. So this is the new wave. So out of this concept, you can bring to the farmer reality on the solutions, right? So for example, all this range of products you can classify as anti-stresses to take the crop out of a drought, out of a frost, out of a possible wrong application of
Phytotoxicity, yeah, right.
phytotoxicity or something like that. Then you have nutritional balance. That's another point. Then you have increased quality. You can increase Brix on sugar beet, or you can increase protein level or oil content in oilseed rape.
You touch very, very interesting topic, Brix, because I know a few farmers who's study the Brix of leaves. This is the good way to, for example, to evaluate how is the health of plant, how is the energy.
There are many ways to analyze how the body of the crop is working, right? You have different ways. This is one way. Depending the crop, I don't know what crop you mean, but one way is to, if we already have the good standards, so let's say when you evaluate a leaf, and you know that leaf needs to have X amount of carbohydrate, which would be for example, Brix in this case, and you know that standard is good, and then you analyze on yours and you get that, at least you have a reference, right? So depending the crop, for example, table grapes, that's very well studied, you can have that. When you look into sugar beet, then you look to the content of sugar in the beet, right? That's what's important to the farmer, right? So if you can increase that, even better. So what I mean, it is one way to see healthier, but there are many other ways to check.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing to study, okay, Brix is one of them. NDVI, for example, is the parameter which we can help us.
NDVI can help, right? You can help with the classical leaf analysis, right? With the micronutrients, especially on your leaves, and then you forecast next season. You understand a bit when the crop is going to decrease or increase the nutrients. Soil analysis, classical, and then depending the crop, it goes in depth, right? You can see sap analysis, right? You take the sap and check the content of nitrogen, for example, available, and then you can go in depth. There are today equipments. There's one equipment that called infrared gas analyzer that you can measure how much air is going inside the crop, how much is getting out, how much is carbon stay inside the crop. So there are different measures. In a farming level, right, the most important is the classical view of the farmer to see if it's healthy or not, and those kits that are easy to see, like NDVA or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very important, because I know many farmers who reach the level of micronutrients and macronutrients, yeah, and on the leaf, and this is how you said the forecast for the next season. Which of my macro or the micronutrient is the last level which I can have, yeah. So for example, we have a problem with boron in Poland in Poland, because the soil of Polish soils is poor of bore, yeah. So applying of the boron fertilizers by leaf is very important thing to study this level of the good point, yeah. So if you know this knowledge, and you know how I can study and reach my leaves, this is the good point to prediction, yeah, for the next season, and the fill this gap in plant and in soil too.
And exactly, that's plant physiology. So let's understand that when the farmer sees any nutritional deficiency, so when you really get to see it, depending the crop, usually the problem happens 30 days before that you didn't see. Right? So if you have this knowledge and you have the history of your region, the characteristics of your soil, you're going to have a deficiency of boron, and you have a crop that is high demandful on boron. We'll give an example, sunflower, for example. Say, why not bring the best technology possible that I can bring this boron in the right moment, the boron that will be translocated in the crop, will be used, will not bring any problems with the tank mix. So this is technology, you know. By the end, seems to be basic, but very important.
I wrote down before our meeting the question about what place do you think plant physiology will have in the future of agriculture, but I think so we answered for it right now, because it's very important to understanding to know about how plant growing and how which plant needed, yeah. And this is okay. This is the agronomy. I think this is the basic rules of our knowledge. Is it the same for the fertilizers? Because fertilizers always also using to the plant physiology and the soil. Yeah, for example, phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen. Every farmer want to know how my fertilizers work, yeah, and this is the same for the leaf fertilizers, for biostimulants, because this work is maybe not the same, but also they're very important.
Exactly. If you think that what farmers are harvesting, right, it's basically air and water, right, through the energy from the sun. So it's basically carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But then you need the nutrients to make all this to work, right? So in a nutshell, farmers needs to put more light in a crop, have more air and more water. It's a bit philosophical, but by the end, it's what we need. Is can I understand how to make my crop more efficient, make more photosynthesis, get more sun, get more light, more water, and more air. That's the beauty of plant physiology. If I gain 1 day of photosynthesis while my crop is breathing, so it's working healthy, that means a lot in terms of yield, and that's where you make your profit.
Do you think that we have already the groundbreaking products against to the, I don't know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Because biostimulants is the group of product which we can use for last years, yeah? So which the new product is better for the older?
I think the whole difference today, it's mainly on formulations, you know. So today the most important thing is to offer something to the farmer that is easy to be applicable, you know, that the farmer can leave in the product in the warehouse or put in the tank mixing with other products, and guarantee that what he's buying, he's applying, and that is hitting the leaf and translocating to the crop. If you're farming potatoes, that needs to go to the tuber. The farmer needs to understand, this is what I'm applying, it's going to get there and do what needs to do. So that's the groundbreaking today. You know, you have microorganisms that have a bigger shelf life. You know, you have nutrients that are completely soluble and that really the crop can absorb. You have the organic matters that are with other compounds that are taking the crop officially out of the stress. So officially, I mean proven out of the stress. So that's how it goes.
I think so. I reckon even that we have a new study about some of the biological product, for example, Metallobacterium, yeah, which we studied a few years ago. I don't know, 2018 or 19, yeah. So the scientists give us the new important information about the new products, new organisms, yeah, which we can use in the better solution on agriculture. And do you know another type? Like, okay, Metallobacterium is the first of all because this is the newest bacteria from the last years in Poland, especially. Yeah, but the very similar practices or very similar examples.
Yes, this is a good point. You know, for example, Metallobacterium is a groundbreaking, right? You're isolating a bacteria that will help us to add to the crop the most important nutrient for farming, right? So this is groundbreaking. When you think about new things coming, so for example, we're about to bring to Poland another groundbreaking, which is related to phosphorus. Right? So we're thinking on the nitrogen, okay, it's there, it's something that supports. Now the phosphorus, right? We always think on NPK. So the phosphorus, how can we make it available, this phosphorus that is already there, or the one that I'm applying that I can be sure that the crop is absorbing it.
Especially in Poland, we have very less pH, so the phosphorus is blocked. That's very important, yeah?
So this is a groundbreaking. So we're working on a solution with different microorganisms that are going to come soon to the market. That is groundbreaking. You know, if I think 25 years ago when I was at the university, the problem was availability of phosphorus for feeding the world, because phosphorus is going to feed. There's end. You cannot explore phosphorus. It's endless. It's it's limited. Now it's groundbreaking because now the phosphorus that's already available, you can bring in compounds of microorganisms that can make that available. This is it's really interesting.
That is groundbreaking because it's changed the possibility of viewing the fertilizers, like nitrogen.
Change the status quo. You change the mindset. You know, as I mentioned, we thought that maybe agriculture would finish one day because of phosphorus. Now you change. You know, we given other examples. The genetic potential are there. You know, so for example, in our company, we have possibly the best genetics in the world in some crops, but you still see that if you can support with good technology, either on your crop protection technology, plus your biological, the genetic potential can still be explored. And every year, on the last 20 years, farmers are still breaking records of producing more. And why? Because the genetic is so powerful, apart from nature, apart from the technologies that are out today in the market, that you say, okay, there's still gap. If you can bring the biologicals here to help this potential of this seed to yield more, that's what we're looking for. You know,
you know, maybe not an easy question, but I very often meet with them for the discuss with the farmers. The biostimulants could be cheaper because very often farmers, you know, thinking that okay, it's working, but the cost of this product sometimes is above the level of economical.
That's a good point. And no thinking from the company point of view, you know, we have a customer centric view. You know, we need to look at the farmer, right? So what really maintains an organization alive? It's the work from the farmer every day. Right? So there's no way for us to think that we need to push price to decrease the profitability of the farmer. That's the opposite. We're here to make more yield, more return on investment. And that's a composition of good quality that will deliver the results that we want and the cost on the investment, right? So definitely, can I assure it's going to drop? I cannot assure, but I can tell you that we're working for that. How? For example, we're working on how to produce the microorganism in a better, efficient way that I can decrease the costs. Decreasing the cost is we can pass this margin to the farmer and to the stakeholders, everyone. So this is how technology can help us in terms of reducing costs. So can I say tomorrow is dropping? That's our goal, but we're working on that.
Okay. We know that Corteva's acquisition, Stoller and Symborg 2022, and tell me how changed the portfolio after this acquisition.
Okay, the acquisition is 2024. Okay, it's just very recent. What changed? It's completely game changer, let's say. Stoller brings to the market 55 years of experience in different countries in the world, and bring, let's say, the experience on the business model in terms of how to offer the technology that attends to the demand from the farmer. And Symborg mostly comes with a young mindset with a very strong pipeline on microorganisms, right? So nowadays, and I can assure to you that these acquisitions made Corteva have the most, or one of the most complete portfolios on biologicals in the world today. So the farmer can assure that when working with Corteva Biologicals today, he will be able to solve most of his problems that are solvable through those technologies, So I would say from a farmer point of view, it's the trust, behind a centenary company like Corteva, the 55 years of Stoller accumulated throughout these years around the world, the 25 years and the young mindset from Symborg in the pipeline, combined to a portfolio that the farmer can say, okay, what do I need? Today he can from Corteva today, basically he can tackle from seed to harvesting in biological and in crop protection and in seeds.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So this is the holistic view, about the things which we can use on the plant. Yes, Mauricio, you are associated with the Stoller because you work in this brand for 15 years. Yes, so in Poland products, some of the biological products from Corteva, we can see that the brand, the logo of Stoller. Which is the value of Stoller, like the producers, of biostimulant product?
Now, that's a great question, because there are many options in the market, and sometimes the farmers are lost. They get in a shop and there's 300 options to take it, and then why to choose Stoller? So first thing is we need to understand why Corteva decided to acquire Stoller, right? So this is the point. Corteva, as a centenarian R&D company, it's a company that really based on research, on scientific data, and that was a match because first thing, Stoller has been founded and since the beginning has been a scientific company. So the first thing when the farmer looks there, he can say, okay, this is backed by science. Something that's inside this jar has been proven somehow scientific. The second point is agronomic endorsement, So the company has always been foot in the ground since the founder, right? The founder was scientist and an agronomist that was foot in the ground, understanding what the farmer needs, improving that. So when you look at that jar, you need to say, okay, there's a scientific background, there's an agronomic background. Then we need to think about the plant physiology behind that. Because if you only look at the product, you have options. But okay, why there's this balance of nutrients in this product? Why the other one, there's this component? Why the one? Because there was a lot of research behind that in terms of when to apply and what's going to happen in the plant. That nutrient that in celerate, for example, why you have 10% of molybdenum and not 8? Why on that type of raw material and not different one, right? Why that 10 with 5% of zinc and a bit of phosphorus is there? Because phosphorus, energy. Zinc will help the crop to produce tryptophan that will produce auxin. So these guys thought about this. Yeah, that molybdenum will help the crop to use better the nitrogen that is there available, and it's that combined with Blue N that will work. That's behind that. And then we get inside the product. When you get inside the product, then you have the whole R&D backing from a company that has 55 years old around the globe, and the backing from Corteva, right? So there's a lot of R&D investment on that, which means years of research, patents, scientific publications.
We could divide this to the second part. The sulfur has influence on how nitrogen is transferred to amino acids. Yeah. So how does nitrogen work? Because we have a very often situation that we use a large amount of the nitrogen, but we don't have a sulfur, and this nitrogen doesn't include in the amino acids because the sulfur is the crisis level, yeah,
right?
delimited. And the second stay is the micronutrients like the iron, like the molybdenum, yeah, because this is work for the nitrogenesis, yeah, which is very important if we have achieved the fixing nitrogen from air. Yeah? So this is very difficult but very important knowledge about the how plant working and growing.
That's the thing. And I'll give you an example. Can we know exactly how much molybdenum do we need to put in the crop to have a perfect nitrogen absorption and use? Because we know it needs molybdenum. We know some crops are well studied in terms of the amount, but how can you know for a micronutrient that you apply grams per hectare? So you're applying a little bit of something that has such a power in the crop. So can we know exactly how much you need to put? Because you have losses, right? You have water in the soil, you have volatilization, you have interactions with microorganisms, you have the weeds also eating part of that micronutrient, it's a complex environment. Can we know not that exactly how much? We don't know exactly in all the crops, but we know it needed. And it needed in the exactly amount of in that content. So that's why when you apply the product, you see, wow, this is bringing me yield. That's interesting. Maybe a detail on the yield, but that's the point. It doesn't matter the technical level of the farmer.
The Liebig's law, yeah, we can say Liebig's like the
funnel, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
So this is a very often example which is used in the fertilizer, for example. But okay, for the micronutrient too, also, yeah, because this is very important for growing plants.
In when you look at the Liebig law, so what is the limiting factor, right? So let's imagine that it's molybdenum. So molybdenum is not allowing you to get there to produce what you want. But the thing is, this is the Liebig law. It's for the crop to survive, right? But then you need to raise that to the level that the farmer wants to yield, because you're always wanting to yield more, right? That means you need to raise the level of your nutrients balanced in a way that you can harvest what you can, right? Depending the region that you are, the amount of water you have,
What the pipelines looks like for the future.
Okay, so the pipeline, that's exciting because I spoke a little bit here. And we have in-house production, right? So a lot of biocontrol coming, right? That's where Corteva is investing a lot of money. We have the microorganisms to help the crop to uptake more more nutrients and facing water stresses, right? In general, because that's stresses in general, but also water uptake and drought. And we have the possible partnerships with good people that are out in the market, great companies that are there doing cool things, and the acquisition. So Corteva is really, really willing to become the best option to the farmer as soon as possible. So we're already playing between the three main biological players in the world already. But Corteva does not only wants to be the biggest. Corteva wants to be the best option.
Tell me, because we have launched Bioforge in 2025 in Poland, and what's the new product in the next season we'd like to looking forward, yeah? Which type of the product
that we're bringing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great that you launched Bioforge. I hope the farmers are enjoying. It's let's say the state of the art in terms of stress mitigator, right? So we can prepare the crop to the stress or overcome the stress.
Mm-hmm. It's better before or after stress is using this product?
It's all related to let's say the return on investment of the crop. If you can have bioforage in your program of applications, that would be better because you're always maintaining your crop prepared, because sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, right? You don't know if it's coming a frost tomorrow. You can predict, but tomorrow you cannot put the tractor and apply today, right? So if you can have that crop always prepared on that, that's perfect. So what is coming in the market in the near future for Poland, right? We recently launching a product on let's say holistic nutritional product, which is called Starter Manganese Platinum. I think it's just beginning, and farmers are enjoying to use it in corn, in oilseed rape. And we are about to bring 2 microorganism products. One, it's going to be a root developer. And I'm very excited because I cannot say much, but it's going to increase the root system to better uptake the nutrients. But the cool part is that it's going to be applied through the leaves, right? So that's what we want, to make it easy to the farmer. And the other one is the phosphorus solubilizer that we are excited as well.
And tell me, Mauricio, because you have a wide perspective about using biostimulants in the overall countries in the Europe, in the world, how farmers in Brazil or South Africa and Spain often using of biological product. This is very often, but this is starting of using.
No, it's depending the country, really well used. Okay, give an example. In Brazil, basically 100% of the, I know I'm not so active, but I think it's 40 something million hectares of soybean. They use two biological products, which is the rhizobium, right? And they use a product called Como from now Corteva Biologicals, cobalt and molybdenum, to help these bacteria and the crop to absorb the nitrogen. Now they just launched Bruin this year there as well. So 100% of these are using biological. When you go to Africa, people say, "Oh, but Africa, no, the technologies are there. You can go to Angola, to Mozambique, to Kenya. Farmers are using biological, either on the biocontrol, they are using on the nutritional side, they're using on the microorganisms. Fruits and vegetables usually uses more. They're more up forward. Let's say they know more what's going on, and their crop usually pays higher, right? And the row crops, it's also getting there strongly because farmers are seeing that the results are there.
And what would you advise? What would you advise for farmers who's thinking about starting using biostimulants? What's the first step, and what's the first step about the thinking about it?
Okay, well, I think the first step is to understand that we cannot expect the same result doing the same thing, right? I'm a father. I know if I want my daughter to change a little bit her behavior, I cannot behave the same way I'm behaving, right? So what I mean is farmers has been doing what they're doing for generations, right? If you can improve on any type of management, that will possibly lead you to produce better. Biological is well researched and well proved, right? Either on this in either characteristics that I showed, either in the nutritional, either on the hormonal balance, either on the anti-stress, either on the root developer. It's well studied and proved scientifically and agronomically, right? So it's out there. The options are out there to the farmers. So first thing is the mindset to say, I need to try something different. But I would say first thing, you need to trust your advisor, your someone that can help you to to offer the product in the right moment and in the right product, right? So that's another important. So go to your where you purchase your products, understand what they have, or your consultant, or your knowledge, or any technician from our company in either areas. It can be from seed, can be from crop protection, can be in biological. So my tip would be try something different and trust. Get a reliable company behind the solution.
Mm-hmm. Mauricio, because we are going to finish to this podcast, so I'd like to ask you the last question about your professional dream related to the industry, but also dream about the life plans, your private life plans.
Oof, that's a hard one. You got me.
Maybe the first one is the easier.
The professional one's easier, maybe. No, I think I have a clear goal for us to really help farmers. That's a goal. Help farmers to produce better around the world. I don't have a clear ambition in terms of being the first, right? We don't want to be the biggest or the first in the podium, right? My intention is to be the best option. So when the farmer thinks, okay, this company is supporting me to produce better, and I can maintain my business here for my daughter, my son, for my grandson, and this company has offered me something that makes me farm better. That's my life goal, and that's what makes me here. And that's why I'm attached to the organizations that I've been working.
So, okay, thank you very much for participating in the Epole po sezonie podcast. So I'm so happy that I can say I can meet you and talking about this topic. Yeah, and for me it was very exciting expression and a very exciting experience, because this is the first my English podcast. Yeah, so thank you very much, Mauricio, again.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Pavel. Thank you all the team, and I hope the Epola farmers and listeners they enjoy it, could add value to the people. Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you again. Dzięki, że obejrzycie ten odcinek do końca. Tak jak słyszeliście, pierwszy po angielsku, ale wy też możecie odsłuchać go z wersji z lektorem, ale dla tych, którzy też by chcieli chociażby na przykład pouczyć się angielskiego, zrobimy też taką wersję z napisami po polsku, żeby sobie posłuchać i też może troszeczkę w oryginale odsłuchać tego, o czym dzisiaj też mówiliśmy. Napiszcie w komentarzach, czy tego typu materiały wam się podobają. Też gdybyście mieli pytania do Mauricio, to piszcie również w sekcji komentarza. Tutaj obiecujemy, że też postaramy się, żeby Mauricio mógł na nie odpowiedzieć. Być może po angielsku, być może to przetłumaczymy, zobaczymy. Tak jak powiedziałem na początku, to był ostatni odcinek 4. sezonu wideopodcastu. Spotykamy się znowu na jesień, jeżeli chodzi o wideopodcasty. To będzie 5. sezon, a poza tym, jak zwykle, w polu, kilka odcinków polowych jest w przygotowaniu, więc do zobaczenia w tej bardziej naturalnej takiej scenerii dla naszego kanału. Do zobaczenia, cześć.
Patronem wideo podcastu Epole po sezonie jest Corteva Agriscience.